Let's start by discussing the entry point of a React Micro-Frontend app. Here, we import React and React DOM libraries, essential for building and interacting with the user interface. We also import the app component, which represents the root of our Micro-Frontend. The React DOM's render method then mounts this app component to the DOM, specifically to an element with the id root. This setup enables us to encapsulate our Micro-Frontend as a standalone application. Moving on, let's examine how we can integrate our Micro-Frontend into a host application. We use the qiankun library, which allows for a Micro-Frontend architecture. We call register microapp to specify details such as the name of our Micro-Frontend, the entry URL which points to where it's accessible, the container element which defines where the Micro-Frontend will render in the DOM, and the active rule that determines when the Micro-Frontend should be active. With these settings in place, the start function initializes the Micro-Frontend integration, enabling it to behave as a part of a larger ecosystem. Our Micro-Frontend needs a server to serve its files. In this snippet, we see an express server setup for serving a production build of the Micro-Frontend. We import Express and Path modules, and use Express static to serve the static files from the build directory. We make sure that any route entered will direct the user to the index.html page, allowing React Router to handle the front-end routes. Lastly, we listen on a specified port, giving us a URL where the Micro-Frontend can be accessed during development or production. Here, we look into the build configuration for our Micro-Frontend using a tool called Vite. We define specific configurations such as the output directory, where built files will reside. We use rollup options to specify that React and React DOM should not be bundled with our Micro-Frontend to avoid duplications in the host application which also uses them. Additionally, we set the module format to S for ECMAScript modules and designate a clear and unique name for our Micro-Frontend's entry file, ensuring that when multiple Micro-Frontends are loaded, they don't conflict with each other. Finally, let's discuss deployment. This snippet shows a simple Node script for automating the build and deployment process of our Micro-Frontend. Using child_process exec, we execute the npm run build command within our Micro-Frontends directory. Upon build completion, the script could be extended to interact with deployment services, such as Oz S3. This allows for the continuous integration and delivery of changes to the Micro-Frontend without affecting other components of the application.